We'll fake that clap in post.
It was a weak
because
clap.
we're live and everything we're doing is in post.
But we're live at the same time.
Wow.
We're live at the scene.
The scene of the crime that is Ever Heard of It.
Ever heard of it? This stupid podcast.
Ever thought of it? Excuse me. I can't. I don't even know the name.
I know.
Never ever want to hear of it.
Don't want to think about it.
I don't want to hear of it. That's like what like a really angry parent says to their kid. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Enough about the Pogs. Anyway, ever thought of it?
Yes.
Episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
We have quite a few followers on our Spotify, so thank you for tuning in and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Hi guys.
Yeah, you said I don't want to listen on SoundCloud, and I don't want to listen on YouTube, and I don't want to look at your posts on social media. But you said yes to Spotify. And you said no to picking up the phone when I call you, and you said no to opening the door when I knock on it. And you said, when I shine the flashlight into your bedroom at night.
I do this with your son every night.
Every night. We're contractually obligated to make that joke in every episode, I think. Because we said that every time.
All right. So last week we had a little bit of a teaser. Because we spent like almost 40 minutes talking about movie stocks. And this week we'll be talking about movie stockings, your favorite type of dress wear that has movies on it.
Yes.
Oh.
What movie would you be happiest to see in your stocking on Christmas morning?
Okay, Jax, why don't you refresh us on the cliffhanger from last week?
So my question for us was, what movie is only one or two small tweaks away from being the same movie but a completely different genre? So we had a little bit of homework.
And what was the example that you used?
Oh yes, my example was Weekend at Bernie's. Can easily be turned into like an actual horror movie, or my personal favorite, Mandy, the movie Mandy, being turned into a musical with just some well placed songs.
That's right. Cheddar Goblin.
And thinking about that made me want to watch Mandy all week. I've been like, I should just watch it again. But I haven't.
I mean, it's pretty good.
It's the best.
So I was thinking about this too, and
Yes.
there's like a couple of obvious ones that I came up with. Like Rocky Horror Picture Show could easily be a horror movie.
Yes.
You know, with a couple of tweaks. The Shining could be something like the Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy.
Oh.
Like if they just twisted it a little bit, like where the ghosts are like friendly,
like goofier,
but they're trapped together.
Yeah.
And like Halloran is like coming to save them.
That's a good one.
You know, like, yeah.
I feel like Seven could be turned into like a buddy cop movie.
But what would be in the box?
You know,
Something really stupid.
Okay. So here's what they do: is like that the whole movie they make references to what's in the box, and it's like something different, like donuts.
Yeah.
Or like it's like something from Amazon or something like
Maybe
that.
he opens the box and it's like, it's a boy. It was actually an elaborate gender reveal party.
A balloon comes out and it pops.
I thought of one too, and here's how I'm going to propose this. You've heard of the Tooth Fairy, right? You know that movie?
Yes.
And the pacifier,
Dwayne The Rock,
right? With Vin Diesel.
Oh.
But check this out. The Professional. But like in that style where it's like big tough man, little kid he has to take care of, but it's like funny. I mean, Gary Oldman is basically a comedic character in that movie.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, he's so over the top.
Yeah. The Professional could easily be like the pacifier type of movie.
Wow,
Okay.
that's a really good one.
That's a good one.
And of course, you have the scene where he comes out like dressed like John Wayne, and they're like trying to guess like who they're dressed as or whatever. They like go to the movies like laughing, spilling popcorn on each other.
Right? All the Professional needs is maybe like one other little kid.
Yeah.
And then like a tweak in tone, because I feel
yeah.
like for the Tooth Fairy and the pacifier, there's like at least 2 to 3 children.
Yes.
Maybe. I haven't actually seen either of those
Well, but
movies,
you know
so-
of them, yeah. I've never seen
Yeah,
them either,
yeah.
but I
Yes.
can make an educated guess as to what
Yeah.
stupid shit happens.
Yeah, because I think in The Pacifier, now correct me if I'm wrong, researcher, but I believe that he is like a CIA agent who must take a post as a nanny in order to like gain information on somebody. I think that's the plot.
An elite Navy SEAL can handle just about anything thrown his way, but even the best have their limits. When he fails to keep scientist Howard Plummer safe from assassination, Wolf has a shot at redemption by being assigned to protect Plummer's 5 children and their pet duck.
Wow. What?
Is it like Harry or Steve or
The duck? Oh, I don't
Gertrude?
know.
Howard?
Gertrude.
Commander Wolf, we need you.
But yeah, that could have been right up there.
He can handle anything. He can go out in the cover of darkness and kill brown people, but he can't make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What's he to do? I also feel like that movie could also be turned into like a hardcore action movie. Like they kidnap the kids.
Yeah.
And now he's got it like taken.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
And his specialty
He's
is
not
like
100 years old.
is like shoving something in like some guy's mouth. Because he's the pacifier.
He's the pacifier.
Yeah.
Or the tooth fairy, he like rips
He
the
rips
guy's
his
teeth
teeth
out.
yeah.
Or he has teeth on a necklace or something.
Yeah.
Apparently.
The tooth fairy.
No, go.
Go ahead.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
The tooth fairy.
I'll keep it buzzing around in here. Don't worry,
Hold on.
it's coming out.
I got a little bit of official ever thought of it research coming at you right now, which is the fact that it appears to be that the plot of the Tooth Fairy is similar to that of the Santa Claus, where Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson actually becomes the Tooth Fairy.
What?
So he like beats the real Tooth Fairy to death, mistakenly.
He accidentally
Yes.
squashes the real Tooth Fairy, and then he assumes the mantle.
What?
So this is kind of like in Con Air where
he's a hockey player.
That's right. Yeah. I remember. You know, in the beginning of Con Air, like Nicolas Cage gets out of the Marines or whatever, and then he accidentally kills 2 guys in a drunken bar fight. That's the plot of the Tooth Fairy, except the Con Air is the Tooth Fairy. He goes to jail with like other like mythical like beings like that, and then they're all being transported. You know, but he's like the good one. The Tooth Fairy is like the good one, but everybody else is like there's like Rumpelstiltskin and the Boogeyman.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So this is just like Shrek. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what was the one that had like Santa Claus and Jack Frost and
Oh,
there's like an animated movie, Guardians?
The Guardians.
The Guardians?
Some sort of Guardians.
Something Guardians?
The Galaxy. it was very close.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Universe.
Guardians.
Masters of the Universe.
Rise
in a
of the
fight, Masters of the
Guardians.
Universe?
Rise of the Guardians.
Oh, Rise of the Guardians. Who would win in a fight, Masters of the Universe or Guardians of the Galaxy?
Masters of the Universe.
They're masters of the whole universe.
The universe, not just one galaxy.
Now, okay.
Not just one galaxy.
Now, wait. Sub question A. Question 1B. The Masters of the Universe are... I'm sorry. The Guardians of the Galaxy are helped by the princes of the universe.
Oh.
And
we're talking Freddie Mercury, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon. Deacon John Deacon.
and Dr. Brian, that's Dr. Brian May too.
Yes.
And
Dr.
the Masters
Professor
of the
Brian May.
Universe are helped by the Prince of Egypt. Also, he's there.
This is Marvel. Marvel.
And
You
also
wish.
just Prince.
Yes, exactly.
We got Prince. We got fingerprints.
We got Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yes, there is.
Wait, so then, but this now has created all the other characters. If this is a math equation, they all cancel out and leave just Prince versus Freddie Mercury, right? So who wins in that fight?
Oh, it depends. It depends on what the rules are.
Okay. Okay.
Because I feel like if you just said overall, I feel like Freddie Mercury wins. I think he has a more powerful voice.
Yes.
His music is more varied. And he had a really incredible band to help him.
And he has mustache powers. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yes. He don't mess with Mr. Bad Guy.
Have you seen that
He'll
album
make
cover?
you go chase. He'll make you go chasing rainbows in the sky, and you don't want that.
He will send you 100
that's
years into the future through a black hole. So you better be careful.
That's like his wrestling interview. We're gonna go chasing rainbows in the sky, whether you like it or not, brother. Hey, brother, could you spare some rainbows? Can I borrow a feeling, brother?
Oh my god.
Stupid.
Our listener is gonna be like, what happened to the talk about movies?
Did you say listener?
Oh, I thought
singular?
I hit pause.
Yeah.
They're gonna go, oh wait, I thought I hit pause. Why is this still on?
Now that's a movie I would watch.
Yeah.
Yes, all those people
All of that.
together. Mm-hmm. That's better than any Marvel movie.
Hell yeah.
Forget about Avengers. This is who are they avenging anyway?
New
New topic.
honestly,
Who the hell are they avenging?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I got nothing there.
It started as they were just one of them comes home very angry one night and he's like, somebody parked in my parking spot at work and yeah, we should totally avenge you, and then they just took it way too far.
Right? Somebody needs to stop them. Please. Honestly, I feel like the Avengers are the bad guys. So.
Yes, they cause so much property damage.
Destruction.
Here's a movie that if you tweaked it, Avengers is a movie, if you tweaked it, it could be a good movie.
Yes! That's the real twist.
Oh my god.
If you just made a couple changes, this shitty franchise could be good.
Okay, back to the question.
Yes.
I had a thought.
Which one?
What is wrong with us? Is that
The original.
We're through the looking glass here, people.
I know.
Yeah. I had a thought. It's a little more than a few tweaks away. It's more like an adaptation
Okay.
of a movie. But I feel like you could make a John Wick ballet.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, you could.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the way the fights and stuff are all choreographed is already kind of like a dance. There's a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could also do that with The Matrix, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think...
Although The Matrix has a lot more complex concepts to convey.
True.
That I feel like a ballet may not be able to handle.
Well, I think we know some of the best interpretive dancers.
Right?
That we can get on this, right? There's some guy out there who has interpreted, the concept of, of an alternate reality.
I think that...
Just he twists his hands very subtly and everybody's like, oh, there it is.
But now that you say that, Kung Fu Ballet is kind of like an untapped market that I think a lot of people would pay to go see. I totally pay to see that.
It's a little, it's sort of like wuxia, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is the best example of that, where it's very kind of fluid dance-like.
Yeah.
If you remember the movie Hero or House of Flying Daggers, very much similar in that way. But yeah, I would see
if you could see that on
John
stage,
Wick ballet.
That'd be fucking cool.
Yeah, right.
If it was if they actually had him shooting people and fake blood or whatever, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, some stuff is cooler on stage than, even though you would think with the way that you can do whatever you want in a movie, I mean, if you see first of all, just ignore this whole sentence, but if you see the movie Sweeney Todd versus a stage version, it's in the movie they can build all the shit and make it look like he's really shooting the people down the thing, but even if it's shitty, when you see it in person, it's cooler because they built it for stage. So
yeah, it's impressive the lengths that they have to go through to build those effects,
totally,
and make them convincing directly in front of you.
Yeah, so I feel something
with the stage
a
is
Kung
a little
Fu thing.
easier to it's a little easier to suspend your disbelief too on stage
Yeah.
because you're like, I know that I'm watching a diorama.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
exactly.
make some concessions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a movie, like you really have to be, because the movies are so much more complex. You gotta like, okay, you gotta sell it to me.
Yeah, and especially
Exactly.
now when like CGI is so good that like in a lot
Yeah.
of places you don't even notice that they're doing it. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
if there's anything out of place, you feel it in a movie versus like in a
Yes.
play. It's almost like they're like minimalist versions,
Mhm.
right? It's like they give you only the important bits of it, and then you get to sort of fill in the gaps with like your imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're
And when we saw-
also like more impressed. They do less, but you're like more impressed by it.
Well, when we saw, I don't know, guys, if you remember this. This is already 17 years ago.
I
When
was
we
about
saw
to be
Sweeney
like,
Todd
I don't remember.
at NYU. and all the set, I think the set was modeled after the original Broadway show, but it was all like scaffolding.
Yes. It was
And you're
so
like,
cool.
it really does. You're like, I
Yeah.
feel like this is old London.
Yes.
Well, I
You
mean,
know,
like
it
even just like the rotating thing in Hamilton is like so
Yeah.
impressive that they do so much with that.
With so little. Yeah.
Yeah.
and you don't really, when we saw it, you didn't really notice it until some of the characters stopped moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because some people walk around it to give you the appearance that floor isn't moving.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when the characters stop in the middle, it's really impressive. They also do the thing at the end where they pause like the bullet
Yeah.
when they're doing the duel. I thought that was
Yeah,
one
that
of the
was
best
really
parts,
cool.
because it really felt like they were using the stage and drawing your eye rather than being like, okay, I have to like look at that dancer or I have to see where that guy is singing or whatever. That felt really movie like
Yeah.
Yeah.
on stage.
Well, I think that like what we talked about when we talked about like them remaking old movies, where I was like, now everybody remakes stuff so much that you're constantly like one-upping yourself. I feel like with effects too, it's like everybody just has to make it look crazier or cooler or whatever. But it's like with theater, it's almost like the more pared down it is, the more you're impressed by how much they can do. And it's like everybody who makes movies just wants to make like the craziest effect or the biggest explosion or like when
Right.
when you think about like even being in a like. Mark and I used to talk all the time for some reason about specifically being in The Hobbit for some reason, that it's like, you're not anywhere. You're fucking on a green screen all the time. And Benedict Cumberbatch is covered in little balls and you're like, nothing is real. Like, it's so crazy to like, that's how people have to act now. And
there's no like chemistry between those characters.
yeah.
Because Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman were never like in the same room together, like playing off of each other. It wasn't like Martin Freeman was like feeding lines to Benedict Cumberbatch.
No.
Yeah.
And it just feels like you're like waiting for the other character to stop talking so that the other one can start talking.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you
Rather
go
than
back
them
and
having.
you go back and you watch Jurassic Park, and even though you can see some of the seams, right? Like if you look at like the animatronics, sometimes like it does that little like that like stop and jiggle thing that they do, like when you're like at a theme park and the thing moves, and it, But like
The
that
Bear Jamboree.
Yeah, exactly. But that is still so much more impressive to me
Yes.
than like Jurassic World. I see
Yes.
Jurassic World and I'm like, oh, you got like 1,000 dinosaurs on the screen. I don't give a shit. Like whatever.
'Cause they all
Some guy
look-
pushed a button. They went to their
Yeah.
program and they pushed the make a dinosaur button.
I want one of those. I want that button.
Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V.
I don't actually mean that. It takes a lot of work to get those things on screen.
Of course.
But
But it's more
but it
impressive because they
feels
did
that
it with
easy.
less. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the fact that it's so convincing even today, going all the way back to the original Jurassic Park,
Yes.
is like people are gonna go back and watch Jurassic World 10 years from now, 20 years from now. How old is Jurassic Park now?
Jurassic Park's
28
1993.
years old.
So almost 30 years, right? Imagine watching Jurassic World 30 years from now. You're gonna be like, wow, it looks like crap. It looks terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, because so we're still in this transition period where the practical effects, or CG is still within like the limits of our kind of like understanding. Like we can sort of recognize it because like if you go back and watch the original King Kong, which is almost 100 years old, you're like, that's shitty.
Yeah.
So in 2093, will Jurassic Park look like King Kong does to us
Probably.
now?
Because then by then we'll
But
have
we're in this like amazing
dinosaurs in our
twilight
home.
where
Yeah.
we'll all be riding them.
Yeah.
This looks so fake. At least mine's real.
Yeah, the Velociraptor is like, that's not what we looked like. Because you're
As he brushes his feathers aside.
Yeah. As if I really look like this. Big fat meanie. But yeah.
I was rewatching Jurassic Park recently, and then I also caught Jurassic World, and in Jurassic Park, they do use CGI, but they blend it so seamlessly with the animatronic, and the sense of scale is just like amazing. Like in Jurassic World, it doesn't feel like the lighting is ever consistent in a scene with two characters. Like you always feel like that the lighting on the CGI dinosaur is like so different. They're trying to like match it, and it ends up looking artificial.
Yeah.
But it really feels like when they shine the light in the car, when the two kids are in the car and they shine the light on the T-Rex's eye, and it like dilates.
Yeah.
Like that feels so much more real because it's just like
it's
natural
real.
light
It is
bouncing
real.
off of
Yeah.
everything.
The way it bounces.
Yeah.
Because
obviously it's
Well, I was gonna say like that sort of like global illumination, like when there's like a red wall, it paints red light on the area around it, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm sure they do a lot of that when they do CG stuff to try and affect the video to make it look like that is happening. But I would imagine that's really hard to like approximate between 2D film and all of your 3D generated images and like how you're, how they composite all that stuff. Like,
right.
Because they have to erase the green screens and like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, versus just like you shine a light at the thing and it works because it's real, it's physical.
Yeah.
Right? That you get that for free, right? The way that the environment plays off of it or it plays off of the environment is it it happens because it exists.
Yeah.
And I've seen some movies do stuff where they'll have like a character that's like, completely CG or an object that is CG, but it is shaped in the same shape as the final object is going to be so that they can render the light more appropriately. Yeah. And also like a lot of green screen stuff, you're having to recreate the entire sun or the entire network of light because you're just on a studio.
Yeah.
It's not like you're on like, in a field with like, sometimes they do that obviously, but like a lot of stuff is just shot in a studio somewhere. Yeah. So you're recreating everything. Yes. And it's really hard for like the mind to like wrap around.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That the light is all real because like a lot of these situations are just so fantastical. You're like, well, I can't process how light would work.
Yeah, how do you light a dragon?
In that situation.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like how does the light fall on a dragon?
Yeah.
And what is the light that is generated from flames that are coming out of its mouth? Right. And how does that affect like, whatever. I mean, obviously they do amazing stuff because like there's some, we watch like some TV shows that are just like, it's like a stupid drama and it's like all CG and you're like,
all the backgrounds are CG.
And, and you're like, I couldn't even tell. Like,
yeah.
That subtlety is like what's missing.
Yeah. Totally.
I think there's more CG in movies and TV shows than people realize.
Yes.
Totally.
Like so often, so many backgrounds are CG and they don't look like it at all. Because it's relatively easy to do environment stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's harder to do like characters and
yes.
like organic things, I guess.
Yeah. And if you have a particular scene where the background is like kind of obscured, like they're in a restaurant or whatever, it's easier to believe that background is fake, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember last year when everybody was like when Parasite won the Oscar and stuff that like I was seeing online like a lot of like screenshots of like before CG and after and like that there's so many parts in that movie where it's just like the sky, but it makes such a difference and you don't notice it in the scene. Like you would never look at it and think, well, that sky's fake. But like it just like enhances the tone or whatever.
And the whole street that they lived on was fake.
Yeah.
So that they could flood it. And like the house where the rich people lived was fake. But it felt organic.
So real.
I've never been to South Korea, but like I'm assuming they modeled that after real streets to make, you know, because like South Korean people are going to be like, hey, that doesn't look like where we live.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like every movie that takes place in New York and you're like, that's definitely like
Toronto or
Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, we saw that if you saw Never Heard of It podcast episode number 25, Exterminator 2, and that dump truck was coming around the New York street corner and then it parked on a street in LA.
On Rodeo Drive.
It was like near the Hollywood sign. And it was by the Statue of Liberty. I can't believe I got to do this 3 times a week. Okay, we have about 6 minutes left. So I came up with like a little mini question, kind of that ties into what we talked about last week with which movies were stocks. So I don't know if you heard, but to go back to this whole GameStop Reddit thing, that somebody, I don't know how they have the ability to do this, sold the rights to the story of what's going on to Brett Ratner.
Yes.
2 people sold the rights to different companies, to slightly different stories.
I mean, can we sell the right that it inspired me to write a story about a gorilla? Like, like, how do they have the authority,
right,
to sell that story?
So
it got me thinking, like, what? And this might be a little bit difficult.
It got me thinking, what?
It got me thinking, hey, I don't know.
What the
See you next week, guys. We should just do a t-shirt that's like, huh?
Yeah.
Say what? So it got me thinking, what are the worst biopics? Like the lamest subjects that they've ever turned into movies? Because like I can't imagine. Okay, so have you seen The Big Short?
No.
I've seen part of it.
So it's very interesting, but it's like trying to make it's like he tried to do it's Adam McKay directed it. He tried to do like Wolf of Wall Street sort of thing, where it's like fast paced, Scorsese, hit music or whatever. But the movie's kind of boring because there's like no excess. It's just a bunch of guys like talking about numbers. Where Wolf of Wall Street, there's like drugs and like greed and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, like, what in that sort of vein, like, what are like some boring people or movies that have been, or true stories that have been like, you're like, why do we need to know this story?
Right?
One that comes immediately to mind is a movie called Joy with Jennifer Lawrence, and it's about the woman who invented the mop that you twist, and it wrings it out.
What?
Why
I
did
believe
they
David O. Russell
exists?
That's a movie.
Yeah.
And Robert De Niro is in it.
Yeah.
And I think it's directed by David O. Russell, who did I Heart Huckabees and Three Kings.
I'm sorry. David O. Russell he stopped while he was ahead and just stopped after I Heart Huckabees, because fuck every other movie he's ever made, ever. I Heart Huckabees is like one of the top 10 greatest movies of all time, in my opinion. And every other thing he made, I would not even watch it. If I was scrolling past it on TV, I wouldn't watch fucking Silver Linings Playbook or the
vomit.
70s one. I wouldn't watch it.
Oh, American Hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
If you want to watch a movie with American in it, go watch American Gangster.
Right?
American Gangster's a good fucking movie.
Yeah, that Joy is a David O. Russell movie.
Yes. So Joy. Also, side note, I think I quote I Heart Huckabees like every day. I always say he likes geckos. Womp womp. He doesn't look so good.
We say that a lot.
Brad. Another one that comes to mind is it's an okay movie because it has Jeff Bridges in it, but it's called Tucker, the Man in His Dream, and it's about a guy who like creates his own car. And it's like,
oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it, but
yeah, it's like whatever. It's Francis Ford Coppola directed it. It has like really cool cinematography, but it's like this is like kind of a lame subject. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It like if you've ever seen Ford versus Ferrari. The Matt Damon whatever, that movie's really interesting and really good. But it's obviously like two different directing styles. But the Tucker, the Man in His Dream, is just like, why do I care about this? Why should he's not around anymore? It's not like the DeLorean story where he was like selling drugs to the CIA. Like, or the
there's
story
a
about
movie I would watch.
Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Who do we have to call to sell the rights to the DeLorean story?
He should be played by Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
And should be called Back in Crime.
Wow. Back to the crime.
There's also another.
I don't know any off the top of my head, but I feel like there's a lot of movies that are like based on a true story. Like it says that at the beginning, and then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, okay. Like what?
Which part of this is true?
Yeah. Whose story is this? Why does this matter? What are we doing? How?
Here's what I wish they would do. The movie would play in its entirety, and then there would be like some amazing, mind-blowingly explosive, fantastical ending, and then it would cut to black and it would go based on a true story.
Right?
As if like that you're like, oh, I can't believe that Keanu Reeves played a guy who actually jumped out of a helicopter and flew through the air and then turned off a nuclear missile with his brain. I can't believe it. Can't believe it's a true story. We're just high-fiving.
That would be amazing.
Yes, authenticity.
The whole theater's just clapping.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I know that many biopics in the first place.
Yeah.
It's certainly not any about boring people. What would be like a hypothetical, like what would be like the most boring biopic?
Oh God. A documentary of like behind the scenes of how it's made.
how it's made.
They could call it how it's made. How it's made.
How it's made.
No, they call it how it's made is made.
There you go. That's perfect.
Well, I think
Can we? I know we don't normally do merch for this podcast, but can we get a how it's made is made t-shirt?
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
absolutely.
Please.
Oh my God.
I think that
First,
I think
the
that
production
there are
finds a topic that's very boring. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't want to say this because I think that this is boring, because I obviously don't. But like sometimes I think that they make movies that don't, like Bohemian Rhapsody. We don't need that movie. Mm-hmm. Because there's countless documentaries and books and like all this shit that's like actually real and actually interesting about Queen, and like you can actually watch the penguin poop on the couch when they're making that music video, but you don't get that when you watch Bohemian Rhapsody. You know what I mean?
They
like,
cut out all the good
why
penguin shitting parts.
Right? Oh, Roger, what did you do? But like, why would you make a biopic out of something that like we already know about? Like, there should be biopics about like crazy stories that people don't normally know. Like, they're making that David Bowie biopic. We don't need that. We know a lot about David Bowie, and you can watch documentaries and read books about him. Like, these, and again, because you guys know this, but for our listener, I love Queen and David Bowie. That's like two of my favorite things on this earth, but I don't need shitty biopics about them. I can just watch regular stuff about them. Like, I don't need you to fictionalize it. It would be different if the movies were
really good.
Yeah.
Or that there was an unexplored part of their life that only came to light through the the person who wrote the movie like experienced that with like there was one summer where me and David Bowie hitchhiked across Australia.
Right.
And, like, this is the story.
That
or
sounds
whatever.
like that sounds like a thing that might have happened.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. And then they both forgot it.
Yeah. Yeah, like find me an interesting story to make a movie out of. Don't just make like a shitty version, like a fictional Bohemian Rhapsody is basically a fictionalized version of the real story because a lot of it isn't correct. So
I mean, it's like the ultimate version, the ultimate example of like based on a true story.
Yeah.
Just
like, make the true story.
Like, yeah. Well, here's what they're doing now. So instead of making these movies about like topics that are interesting, they're just doing these like 10-part documentaries.
Yeah.
Before, 20 years ago, those would be movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like recently, I don't know if you remember this movie. It's called The Insider. It's with Russell Crowe and Al Pacino, and it's about a tobacco executive who finds out that the tobacco company is like putting a particular chemical. They say that a particular chemical isn't harmful or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's gonna rat everybody out, and then like the tobacco company keeps like threatening him, and it's like a very taut kind of thriller. I could see that being a 10-part documentary because it involves Mike Wallace from 60 Minutes, and like this is a true thing that happened, but it's just fictionalized in a very kind of thriller way. Yeah. But that, if that was made now, that would be a HBO 10-part miniseries, The Insider. Well, I didn't know I was going to get in trouble when I ratted on him.
Who is that an impression of?
That's the guy who spilled the beans.
Oh no, Mr. Bean Spiller. Well, I think
I didn't mean to spill it. Sorry, guys.
There's some stuff I think should just be a movie, and some stuff I think is like cool when it like. Did either of you guys watch The Night Stalker on Netflix?
I saw the first episode.
It's Dan. It's basically just it's like 4 episodes, I think. It's just a documentary about Richard Ramirez, a serial killer in the 80s. But it's like very, very, very well made. It's like super interesting because it's mostly about like the detectives and stuff. But now they make like, if that had been on TV, you think about when you watch like Forensic Files or something, and it's like, and then she got stabbed, and then he ran away, and then it's like commercial break, and then right after the commercial, it's like after he stabbed her and ran away. Like they repeat things all the time because like they think that you're either watching a commercial or like the next episode in a week. But now they make stuff to watch all at once, so it's like it's so much more engaging that way than when they have to like keep telling you things that you already know because they think that you waited a week to watch the next episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that you forgot what was happening in the 2.5-minute commercial break.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my god.
A woman was murdered.
I've watched most of the Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix, the new ones. I would not have made it through them if they were like a TLC
Oh my god.
TV show, you know?
Like a
Where
week.
it's,
I
like,
looked up at
super
this guy and I
dramatic.
said, what the hell is that?
There's so few things that like now we're so spoiled with streaming services that like there's a lot of TV shows that I'm like, I would not have waited a week to watch the other episode. I would just forgotten about it. Like
Yeah, well, it basically allows us to consume media that we wouldn't necessarily have before, which is like why a lot of things become popular, even though they're like very mediocre.
yes.
Yeah, there are TV shows that I would not have watched all of if it was a weekly thing.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I started watching The Mandalorian when the first season came out, and I watched like 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, it's okay, but like I'm not really that into it, so I stopped watching it. If it had all come out at once, I probably would have just binged the whole thing in like 2 days and been like, meh.
Yeah.
But I still would have watched all of it. Like,
yeah.
Right, exactly.
It's so weird.
One show that we're watching now, shout out to Mark for this good rec.
Oh, yeah.
But we're watching Snowfall on FX. It's like a fictionalized version of how the U.S. sold drugs to buy guns to give to the Nicaraguan Contras so that they can fight the Russians and communism.
But it's also
And
about,
this.
like inner city black kids who have to get into crime to like have a life, or like that's their only
so
option.
they basically start like the crack epidemic in
Yeah.
LA. And that extends to like this Mexican gang, and it's fascinating. But like,
It's really
obviously
crazy.
there's like 3 seasons. There's a new season coming out, and obviously we're watching it on Hulu, so every night we can watch like another episode. But that is a show, one of the only shows in a long time where I feel like I would be like, I can't wait till the 4th season comes out, and I will wait each week to see the episode because it's so engaging and it's so different. It has like amazing cinematography, and like the music that they choose is just like, it's like awesome. You know, some movies it's like you know, if you watch like The Wedding Singer, it's like obviously the 80s.
Yeah.
Guess what? Billy Idol's here, and you're like, yeah, I get it. You're like kind of just like saturating it, and they. But this show doesn't do that. It doesn't make you feel like you're like, yes, I get it. It's the 80s. I know.
Yeah, it definitely
Ronald Reagan
doesn't.
and you know.
I know.
How about those Americans, you know, beating the Russians in hockey? Can't believe that happened. Miracle on Ice. Do you believe in miracles? Al Michaels.
So you're telling me it's not like Ready Player One?
Yes.
I cannot
stepped out of my
believe-
DeLorean and I brushed off my copy of.
Can you
Okay,
believe
if there was
that
ever
they
a
let that
biopic
guy
that
write
didn't
a
need to be
sequel?
made.
Can you believe
crazy.
that? Why would they? Who?
If there was ever a biopic
That
didn't
book
need
is
to be made.
massive. Like a lot of people know that book.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I still don't. I read it. I read the whole thing. I'm surprised I read the whole thing.
I can't believe
don't
I read the
understand
whole
why.
thing.
That's another podcast.
That's the Jack's
I
Run
remember
podcast.
The whole time I was reading that book, I was like, all this guy is saying to me, every written word on that page is him going, huh? 80s? Huh? Hey, remember the 80s? Huh?
Oh my.
I
You're like, by the time you finish reading it, you have like a bruise in your ribs from where he was poking you.
He keeps elbowing me. Huh? Hey, how about them 80s?
I have a problem with like 2 similar but opposite things, which is like either one, when it's like that, like it's trying to push you too hard into like one time period, or 2, when it's trying so hard to be current that you know it's going to age terribly. Like if they're like, did you see what she tweeted? Oh, crazy how Trump is president. And you're like, what the I don't want this in a movie. Like, why?
I booted up my iPhone 13 Max and I scrolled to the settings window.
Like, it's sometimes.
How about that
like,
Tim Cook, huh?
Right.
He
or it'll
won't
be
die
like,
because he eats fruit instead of taking medicine.
like Mark and
I
I
love
were
when they
watching-
show. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, this movie, The Babysitter 2. It's like the second in a. The Babysitter is a movie about a kid who has a babysitter, and it turns out she's in a satanic cult. Whatever.
Okay.
It's stupid, but we watched both of them in a row because what the fuck else is there to watch? And in the second one, I guess they made it last year because one of the ladies called a guy, like said that he looked like Joe Exotic, and I was like, in 15 years. No one's gonna watch this movie in 15 years. In 15 years, when somebody watches this movie, that's not funny. Like, that's not a reference that's gonna be interesting to anybody. No
one's gonna know who that is in 15 minutes. His fame is running out.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll remember him when they find his body in a dumpster somewhere, and there's like a rattlesnake around his neck.
I know.
And he's halfway in a crocodile. Like, that's when we'll remember Joe Exotic.
What?
I was gonna say, I love when they show like a phone with text messages on it, and it's clearly like it's just like the iPhone thing. It's not like they made like some nice little graphic that appears on screen or whatever, but like somebody flips up their flip phone and you see it and you're like, that just looks awful.
I would rather see a character with a flip phone in a movie that was made in 2021 than with like a new phone going on Instagram. Like, I'd rather that.
Well, here's the thing: is that like because the convenience of phones has a lot. There's no more like, somebody left the house and we can't contact them. Like, there's no tension anymore.
Yes.
So they have to like find ways to use the phone. As part of the plot. Like, every movie now the phone is part of the plot.
Yes.
And it just feels like
the phone's taken away from them somehow. They're trying to sneakily use their phone. Somebody breaks the phone.
Well, and everybody in the movies, charge your phones.
Please.
Who are these people in these movies who
They're
don't
like,
charge
I just
their
left the
phones?
house, and it goes boop, boop, boop,
Right?
5% battery. And you're like, I would never.
No! I'm at
My
home
phone
and
is,
my
like,
phone's
constantly charging.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that, like, what the first example that comes to mind of, like, a movie that's used that technology, like, in a good way that's, like, funny and clever is in Us, when what's her face is like, call Alexa or whatever they call it, call the police, and then she's like playing fuck the police or whatever. Like, that was funny because you're like, that's, of course you would be like, Alexa, call the police, if that's like something that, I don't know, can Alexas do that? But like, that's a clever use of modern technology that's like in a horror movie that's funny, whereas like in any other horror movie, that's the thing, they drop their phone and it breaks, or they don't have service, or like, okay.
And I think that the Alexa, though, is something that we can sort of predict will be in our future. Voice activated assistants or, technology.
Forever.
Like, that's a safe bet.
I mean, stuff it's Siri on the iPhone has been around long enough now that's it's like it's a staple. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like if they did that same scene and it was like the iPhone 3 and you're like, well, this text messaging is going to like be on our glasses.
Yeah.
Soon, it feels like that they don't take into account that you kind of you don't have to future proof everything, but like you do have to make it sort of believable. Even like old movies still feel believable even if the technology is old, because it's just not as advanced. Like, we advanced very quickly in the last like 40 years, and it just feels like that there's no way to make anything where you're like, oh, everybody will look back on that and understand that, or like won't look at it in a way that like diminishes the value of the movie, or like the authenticity of it. Like, just because they pick up an old phone in like King Kong,
I know,
and they're flying biplanes, doesn't mean like it's not like that you're like, I can't believe this is so fake. We don't even have those kinds of planes anymore.
There's
Well,
something
it's
about,
like, she sent me a Snapchat and it looked like she was in trouble, and you're
the
like,
worst.
Come on.
I hate that. I hate that now. Imagine how much I'm going to hate that in 10 years when I watch a movie from now and I'm like, fuck! Enough with the social media.
Well, why don't you visit Ever Thought of It on Vine and follow our MySpace? And
I wish we
search
could
for
have a
us on
Vine.
Ask Jeeves.
Oh, can we get a live journal?
Yes, we also have a live journal.
And a
You can read our
GeoCities.
thoughts and our prayers.
Yep.
Yes. And and also a You're the Man Now dog.
Yes.
We have one of those too.
Yeah.
We have a Club
also,
Penguin
everybody go
account.
to Everybody go to Brendan Fraser's website.
Yes.
Yes. See what he's up to. He's got a photography project premiering in LA.
Hey.
25 years ago. Oh boy. All right.
I think we went over time.
Yeah, I think
we did.
used
That's
up our
okay
time.
though. This was a very good episode. It's probably the only good episode so far. I can confidently say.
Maybe after today we can add an S to that listener.
Oh, like Skechers, it's the S. Who's gonna be our S?
Leave the S off for savings.
No. We need those. We need every dollar.
That's true, actually. Add more S's.
The mattress in the mattress boardroom. They're like, we need to put the S back in there.
the S's
Our
back on.
profits are tanking. They're shorting our stock.
No.
We need the damn S.
I still don't understand stocks. So my boss was trying to teach me about them because of all this. And he's like, if you have money just sitting in the bank, you can invest it. And I was like, sorry, what's money sitting in the bank? I've never heard of that in my life. I have $4 in singles in my wallet. Can I invest that?
Hey, do you have just an extra $100 lying around, or maybe $1,000 that you're saving for possible medical expenses? Gamble it away in the stock market.
Yeah, right.
Well, I found out that the other day that I apparently have Dogecoin.
Hey,
It's just
Yes.
it's in my cryptocurrency wallet in Robinhood. So I have 880 something Dogecoin. So when it ever hits 10 cents, I'm selling and screwing everybody out of money.
there you go.
Yay!
So we'll have a Dogecoin meal on me someday.
Stay tuned, folks.
Stay tuned.
And if you have Dogecoin, visit Quiet Coyote.
Oh, Dan's gone.
.com. Oh, he's gone. It doesn't matter. The government got him. Spend your Dogecoin at quietcoyoteart.com
Yes.
and buy some dice, buy some trays.
I started
Bye.
polishing and painting my dice to put them up, and it took me 36 minutes to polish 2 dice, and a set of dice
Wow.
is 7 dice. So,
And I only cried for 36 minutes.
so have some patience with me, please. But yeah,
So buy some dice. When you get up and running, then we can have a promo code.
yeah.
Use promo code Everthought.
Promo
code Etoile.
Etoile. I go online and use the promo code Etoile for 20% off your croissant.
Et toi, Brute?
Oh. And that's where we'll leave this episode.
Yes.
Follow. We don't have social media, but go to neverheardofit.biz. Buy our merch. Watch our other podcasts. Watch this podcast. Listen to this podcast. Buy dice. Buy trays. Buy everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
I fooled you.